around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. I am Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Our text line is up and running on the station here. It appears on the screen in the studio in real time. You can text at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. And of course, the station does stream 24/7 on the TuneIn app, so you can take us anywhere, which is a great feature. Tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that with no questions asked. I love that feature. It's fantastic. All right, shutting off some more things here in the studio. I am also streaming the show on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and we do stream live to Rumble as well as the WCRN Facebook page, a YouTube channel. Many ways to listen, many ways to watch, a couple ways to join, 508-871-7000 or 617-297-8388. As you heard at the top of the news, big doings at the White House today because, look, Trump met with Putin on Friday. This is, in politics, this is lightning speed, isn't it? Today marks a historic moment at the White House where Trump is hosting Ukrainian President Zelensky, but alongside a powerhouse group of European leaders, right? French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Starmer, German Chancellor Merz, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Finnish President Stubb, even the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. This is a big power broker meeting in a very short. Friday, Putin, weekend comes through. They pull this together very quickly. Stuff like this normally takes a long time. I mean, just on the protocols alone, but it's important. It's important. And Trump didn't look particularly happy, in my opinion, or what say you, 508-871-7000, after Friday's meeting. I mean, at least, because when they landed, right? I mean, as soon as they walked in, the trucks came out, refueled Air Force One. He really showed, or symbolically showed, if I don't like the way this is going, I'm just out of here. And he said that going in. He'll know within a few minutes. And it turned out to last hours. He didn't seem extremely happy, though. But he said they made a lot of progress and good things. So that happens, and then this powwow is called. And I don't know where the spin's coming. Zelensky's pulling all these leaders in to make sure he's not railroaded into a bad deal. Yeah, if you're reading it that way, you're just not reading it right. Not at all. These leaders are here by the invitation of the White House, and they want to talk to the man that just sat down for hours with Putin. So there's urgency here. For crying out loud, Hillary Clinton said, now she was probably joking, but she even said, look, if Trump pulls off a peace deal and ends the war between Ukraine and Russia, she'll nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize, along with the other, dozen or so that's already happened. But this comes amid the ongoing Russian strikes over 3 years now. 3 years of war, with Trump positioning himself as the deal maker who can end it, in his words, almost immediately, by pressuring Ukraine on concessions like abandoning NATO membership and accepting Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea. There's going to be land swap here, and I think that either the message that was given to Putin is being given to Putin, whether it was done by Trump or through Rubio, is you'll come to the table, you'll do something here, or we will just kill you financially. It is within the ability of the United States. And we always talk about United States power. And yes, we have probably the most powerful military on the planet. Most powerful military known to mankind on this planet. But there's a lot of it. If that's exercised, it's a bad road to go down. And that's kept the peace for a long time. Right? The strength through peace through strength. That if you go down that road, yes, we will suffer a lot of losses. American soldiers, etc. You know the deal. But you will suffer more. And you will not win in the end. And we've proven it time and time again. But the other weapon we have is the powerful U.S. economy and the ability to pressure with sanctions, tariffs. And Trump has been very good at thinking outside the box and saying things like he did to India. And he's warned these countries, do not do business here. Do not do business with Russia because we'll hold you responsible. You're financing this war. If you're buying his oil, his energy, you're giving him the budget to continue this war forever and ever. And he can lose 1 million soldiers. It doesn't seem to bother him, guys. So we can bring his economy to its knees. And I think that's the threat that Trump is using. Not so much the military power, and Trump doesn't want to go there. Who does want to go there? Even the strategic nukes that Russia teased about, teased, they threatened. I mean, that backed on the Crimea annexation, that backed Obama off big time. He was so petrified of that. All he did was send blankets and pillows or whatever. But this could be the beginning of the end of this war. Just 3 days ago, Trump met with Putin in Alaska for those talks, preliminary talks, I guess. But the details were so sparse coming out of that, right? Even the leaks haven't been there. No major breakthroughs were announced. So now you got Zelensky. And sure, it seems like, he just arrived before we came on air here. Arrived, flanked by the bodyguards, European bodyguards, and as other European leaders were arriving prior to him and after him. So is this to signal Europe's pushback against U.S.-Russia deal that sidelines Ukraine's interests? Well, we don't know what the deals are. No specifics have been put out there. If they are, I'd like to know where to find them. Please, 508-871-7000. Let's talk about Trump's stance on this. And he's been clear. Ukraine must compromise in territory. He said it. The question is, what territory? Don't forget, we, the United States of America, we have vested interest in parts of Ukraine now because of the minerals deal. That was the thing Trump was always trying to drive home to Zelensky. Just sign this deal. If you make us your partner in the country, the financial aspect of it, then we have an interest. You're not going to join NATO because that goes against long-standing understandings with Russia about their front door. So that's not going to happen. But if we have U.S. companies and U.S. interests scattered throughout your country, Putin and any other nation will think twice about any kind of an invasion or interfering with America's interests. That's the way it works. So he's been very clear on this, right? Ukraine must compromise on territory and NATO to stop the war quickly. This certainly aligns with America's first policy of reducing U.S. aid burdens as well. Like Trump has been from first term. Look at the memberships of NATO, and he's had the same message to the United Nations. NATO is supposed to be paying. They haven't been paying. because it's always been understood. Uncle Sam foots he'll foot the bill. And if we don't pay, it doesn't matter. In principle, they're going to defend us. And now, Trump comes along and they say, wait a minute, you guys haven't been paying. Here, your agreement's always been X percent of your GDP. And you haven't been paying. You haven't been paying your dues. And what was their surprise? Well, yeah, I know, but if somebody invades us or messes with us, you're still going to come and protect us. Trump's response? No, not if you paid up on your dues. Why would we uphold our end of the bargain if you don't uphold your end? Oh, yeah, we don't have a politician in office. We have a businessman. So what happened? Billions and billions of dollars have come into NATO. United Nations, for that matter, too, with the dues. So there are key issues on the table here, folks, right? The security guarantees for Ukraine. Push for Article 5-like protections. Mutual defense pacts enforced by Europe and NATO, possibly including troop deployments or advanced arms. And this could deter future Russian incursions without full NATO membership. But Europe must set up funding to ease the U.S. costs. They're not dealing with a Barack Obama. They're not dealing with a Joe Biden. They're just not dealing with a Democrat. Interesting. My producers let me know that all the European representatives entered by front door of the White House. Zelensky entered through the back door. That could be a security issue or something else. But symbolism in Washington is a huge thing, is it not? We can talk a little bit more about this into segment 2. But we do have to take the first break of the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And don't forget, you can, of course, listen on our TuneIn app, like thousands of other radio stations. Or you can also watch and listen to this show on social media platforms, whether it's the station's Facebook page, YouTube channel, or my platforms at Joe Mangi Show, and that would be X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and we stream live to Rumble, which is a great thing to do, live to Rumble. Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I. All right, folks, we're going to take our first break here. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Stick with us.
If you're as passionate about healthy eating as I am, you'll love New Kitchen. New Kitchen is a culinary gem for health-conscious food enthusiasts. They are committed to using the freshest ingredients from start to finish. Their ethically sourced organic coffee not only satisfies your taste buds, but also supports sustainability. Because New Kitchen uses fresh, local produce, there is nature's goodness in every bite. New Kitchen's refreshing cold-pressed juices, smoothies, and acai bowls are packed with vitamins and nutrients to keep you at your best. These aren't just drinks, they're a rejuvenating experience. Find New Kitchen at 3 convenient locations in Worcester, Somerville, and Newburyport. Visit their website at thenewkitchen.com to explore their menu and place your order online. That's spelled N-U, not N-E-W. New Kitchen, where the passion for health meets the art of cuisine. Eat clean, drink naked.
Are you looking for a holistic approach to your health? One that supports your body's natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal? Look no further. The Bioregulatory Medicine Institute, BRMI, a nonprofit global organization dedicated to advancing the science and art of bioregulatory medicine, welcomes you to their free and rich library of resources. You'll find articles, podcasts, videos, and more at brmi.online. BRMI believes health freedom is a basic human right, honoring medical ethics and the innate intelligence of the human body. When your body is properly supported, it will thrive. If you're looking for the root cause of illness, physical, emotional, or spiritual, visit brmi.online. brmi.online.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Reminding folks the show is always turned into a podcast after we're off the air, so you can subscribe to it like you do any other podcast at Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, etc. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can do that here as well. Again, Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. So talking about this incredible powwow going on at the White House right now, just days after the weekend. Lightning speed for something like this to happen in terms of politics, especially in Washington type of politics. You've got the leaders of Europe coming in, apparently all in the front door, and Zelensky's come in the back door. I don't know the symbolism on that or not. But the key issue here is securing guarantees for Ukraine. And we've got Trump, who, yes, it's often very transactional, right? The way he works, but he also works always with America first. And this isn't a political thing. This is the core Donald Trump and his DNA. You can literally go back to him on interviews in the 80s and 90s and 2000s when he was just the international playboy billionaire that everybody wanted to be near and taking a picture with. And Barack Obama said he was the American dream. He was just the man until he decided to run for president. But the point here is there are some outcomes and some risks with this. Best case scenario, we get a framework for ceasefire, it emerges. And don't forget that, and I'm not sure even if I mentioned this in the beginning of the show, the meeting Friday, and then Russia didn't let up. As a matter of fact, they did the opposite of let up, right? Drone attacks after drone attacks. So it didn't pull it back anything from Friday. And like I said, Trump didn't end it in a matter of minutes or even within the hour. They stayed in that meeting for hours, but Trump did not look happy. Am I wrong in that? Remember Friday, watching him emerge and talking, and then he did a presser there and all that. But you could tell in his body language, he was not thrilled with the feedback he was getting from Putin. But a framework for ceasefire would emerge, Europe committing to Ukraine's security, Trump claiming a diplomatic win at least. Now, this could lead to broader talks, including Russia boosting global markets and reducing war fatigue. And you know that he's trying to appeal to that part of Putin, just like he did with North Korea. Remember that in his first term? It still strikes me as just interesting. You see Barack Obama, George Bush on the border of North and South Korea, and they're in flak jackets, and, the big no zone, and looking through binoculars. And Donald Trump says, screw it, and walks, nothing more than his normal suit and an extra big tie, across right to the border and asks Kim Jong-un if he could enter his country. He extends his hand, they shake hands, he steps over into North Korea. And what does Trump do? Trump shows him the potential North Korea could have with beautiful beaches and resorts. I think he's doing the same thing with Putin, saying, if you just stop being such a D-head and join the economic world. Remember the G20? You liked hanging around there, didn't you? You could bring Russia. Russia could be beautiful and powerful like the United States if you just did business and stopped trying to change the map. Those glory days of the United Soviet Union are gone. And you're not going to capture them back without incredible bloodshed. Just be normal and enjoy the fruits of a world economy. Have access to United States purchasing power. China may be the biggest, but we are the wealthiest. And countries can't survive without access to us because we don't save our money, we spend it, don't we? 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's the number. Lines are open, 508-871-7000. Let's go to the phone lines. Mark is waiting patiently. Hey, Mark, what say you?
You know, Trump made history in a lot of ways, but he did make history in one big way, and nobody ever talks about it. In his 4 years tenure as President of the United States, he lost 1.5 billion, folks. That's with a B in his net worth during that 4-year period. Bill Clinton do that? Did Barack Obama do that? Did Joe Biden do that? No. They had the complete reversal. They hit a gold mine, especially Obama.
True. Mark, you're 100%. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Always a good point. 100%. No, Mark, I have said this over and over again. So let me just correct you on this. I talk about that all the time. That this man lost over $1 billion of his net worth by simply becoming president. Everybody talks about wanting to see this guy's tax returns. No, I want to see the tax returns of the members of Congress and even the former presidents who went into office maybe worth $1 million, a couple $1 million bucks, maybe, but most members who go into Congress are actually at a net loss. And after 2, 3, 4 terms in Congress, they're worth 5, 7, they're worth 7, 8, 9 figures. What the hell happened? I can see a Barack Obama, the guy said, they've signed multi-million-dollar Netflix contracts, things of that. But Joe Biden has not become what he's worth through books alone. And this goes for the Pelosi's and the Republicans too, because once they get in there, they all do that. So yeah, you want to see Donald Trump's tax returns? All it's going to show is that and you think for a moment that if he's not paying the taxes he's supposed to be paying, and that may mean, he's not paying a lot of taxes because he's going to write off big losses like he did the $1 billion loss. That came up in the 2016 presidential election. Remember that one? Dave Chappelle does a whole little routine on it because it was fantastic. Because it was the first time we saw a politician, again, being brutally honest and saying, I didn't pay taxes for a few years. Yes, I took that $1 billion because I'm allowed to. I've said this over and over again. And again, thank you for bringing this up, Mark, because maybe it's a good time to bring this up. He has lost an incredible amount of personal wealth by becoming the president because of little minds that started to boycott and wanted to change the names on the buildings and wouldn't buy whatever products he has. Oh, and some businesses have gone bankrupt and so forth. You look at anybody in business who has had some great home runs, I would be beyond surprised if they didn't have some fantastic failures. I'm included in that. I've had some fantastic home runs in business, knocked them out of the park. And I've had spectacular failures. The ups and downs of my business life have put me on ramen noodles and driving a crap car. But other times it lets you collect a fleet of antique cars and do whatever you want. That's the American way. That's business. You got ups and downs. But this guy lost over $1 billion in net wealth. And nobody's asking to see the tax returns of people who become worth $10 million, $20 million, $100 million on $174,000 a year while maintaining multiple multi-million-dollar homes. That's what it is. There's apps out there that you can sign up, and they're dubs. I think the name of one of the apps is actually Dub, where it will monitor Pelosi's, not just Nancy, but Papa Paul's Pelosi's trades. And your app will just mirror them. Whatever they're doing because clearly Pelosi's of the world are operating with foregone knowledge, privileged knowledge. Now, you and I do that. It's insider trading. There's bills right now to try to put a curb to that. The other part of that, Mark, let me add to the fact that he lost an incredible amount of wealth by becoming president, is he also doesn't take a salary. In the way that they pay, the president pays, he didn't get a monthly, never mind bi-weekly paycheck. They pay the president by the quarter. They get 4 payments a year. And what he does is he rejects taking it personally and he reassigns it. And it's not as easy as that sounds, by the way. It actually has to go through some steps, and he picks something, some organization or government agency to receive that money. What's the president? I think the president, don't hold me to this. Somebody texted 617-297-8388. I think it's $450 a year. Maybe it's gone up. So, roughly a little over $100,000 a quarter. But he will give it maybe to a veterans organization or whatever. So he doesn't take a penny for this job. He has enough wealth and money not to need it, and decides, I'm going to put that back into either the government or to organizations. So anyway, not only does he take a pay, he lost a great deal of personal wealth. And good. Thank you for bringing it up, Mark, because, I don't think people talk about that as much. We have on this show multiple times, but nobody really does. And that deserves some kind of attention. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation for the remainder of the hour. So just another couple more thoughts before we wrap up this topic and what's going on at the White House right now. There is, of course, a worst case scenario that can happen here, because the talks can collapse. And if Trump pressures too aggressively, exposing rifts, it almost reminds me of like a scene from The Sopranos when they have a sit down, and everybody's like, don't bring up the hit that really got this going. Let's just move forward. It's kind of the same thing here. Let's not expose the rifts and the problems. And, Crimea, yeah, that's still a sore spot. But Zelensky would walk away frustrated. Europeans would feel sidelined, right? And Putin exploits that division, worst case scenario. And of course, the media spin is going to vary here, because you have none, mainstream media is not on Trump's side or ever going to look for a positive spin when it comes to Donald Trump. The pro-Trump outlets will hail it as tough realism, while others will decry at its appeasement. When it comes to mainstream media, Trump can never win. But the broader implications, well, we got to take our break here, mid-show break here, folks. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
From the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Vicki Graff, and here's your latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. After a cool and comfortable afternoon, we're going to cool off into the 40s and 50s overnight tonight. Pretty chilly overnight. You could get by with just opening up the windows, enjoying that fresh air. And over the next several days, we hold on to this fall-like pattern. Highs getting into the mid-70s, mornings in the 50s. And I don't see much as far as rainfall either, holding on to dry conditions through the weekend. I'm Vicki Graff, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Information central to your day from Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Hi, folks. This is Mike Stacey, head professional at Norton Country Club, welcoming you to the start of the 2025 golf season. Norton Country Club is a championship 18-hole golf course located just minutes off of 495. The course came through the winter grade, and we're open for daily fee, as well as having membership opportunities and outings available. Our clubhouse is a great venue for your wedding or group gathering needs. If you're interested, call 508-285-2400, extension 1 for events, or 103 for golf, as well as nortoncountryclub.com. Hope to see you out there.
Polar Park is the place to play, so treat yourself to a private suite at the best ballpark in AAA. Suite rentals are the best way to enjoy a fully catered and climate-controlled experience at the park. Whether you choose to watch the game from inside of the suite or out in your seats, it's the ultimate experience for a special occasion. Visit WooSox.com or call 508-500-8888 to reserve your suite today.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second half of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And thank you for those joining us via the stream, which you can do on my social media platforms, Joe Mangi Show, MANGI. That would be X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and we do live to Rumble on the Joe Mangiacotti Show. There's a channel for us there, as well as the station's Facebook page and YouTube channels. So many ways to watch and ways to join. You can call us or text us at 617-297-8388. Let's go to the phones. Ken's been waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Good afternoon, Joe. I think I have the outline for a solution. And we both know what I'm talking about. Okay. Ceasefire, forget about it. That's a joke. We want permanent peace between Ukraine and Russia. Oh, most people say, that's impossible, Ken. What sort of idea do you have? Okay, here we go. Let's work out the boundary. Create a demilitarization zone. Have it who's in the demilitarization zone? Well, you got to bring China and India into it. So we're going to have 4 groups. The northern group is going to be China. The next southern group is going to be Canada. And then further south is going to be India. And the most southern group is going to be some group of European nations. That's the permanent stop. You have the China and India ones facing Ukraine. In other words, you're going to fly anything over this? Obviously, the hyperspeed stuff, you can't stop that. But drones, no. No more drones, either side. So you have China and India facing west. You have Canada and Europe facing east, because we know they all have the interest of keeping the other side out. And then here's the topper I just thought of in the past hour. Build a wall. And that's what we'll fund. And we will hire Ukrainians to build it. I'm kind of thinking Ukrainians might want to build that wall. What do you think?
You mean build a wall between the Russian and Ukrainian border?
Correct. Whatever.
Okay. Well, I think part of the negotiations is actually shoring up and creating observation posts, right? Because what they have to make sure that they have to keep an eye on is that if they detect any kind of buildup on the Russian side again, they pay much more attention. Do you remember back when this started, Ken? They were doing all this buildup under the guise of war games and stuff. You know, they just kind of scammed it and said, "Oh, don't worry about that. We're just doing our war games." And then they, of course, invaded, and they thought it was going to be a matter of days, if not weeks. And they had more trouble than they thought. Okay. I don't have a problem with building because, again, I mean, that would be inconsistent for me to say that, where I think we should have a 30-foot wall on our northern and southern border. You know, what separates us from Canada is this very long, I forget the width, 80 feet or something. That's just woods. Like, there's no wall or anything between the northern border. I mean, this is why so many illegals have been entering through the north, because we don't pay the attention like we do to the southern border. But countries should have sovereign borders, and walls work. I never understood that stupidity of walls don't work. Well, tell that to the Vatican. They've got 40-foot walls. You know, whenever the Pope, past Pope or current Pope, speaks up about this, my feeling is take the walls down around the Vatican and then talk to us. Otherwise, stay behind your walls. So walls work. That's like saying the wheel doesn't work. Of course they work. I don't have a problem with that. You know, why not? Of course, if they're declaring war, they'll just knock the wall down. That's the other side of it. So is it more symbolic, or does it actually do something?
Oh, both. Sends a big message. But the key thing is creating that border and having the biggest players in the world protect it. That's the starting point.
But Ken, remember they took Crimea, and Crimea, I mean, they jumped over land to get Crimea, and they did it by sea too. It didn't matter. I mean, when you look at Ukraine, you got Crimea down here that doesn't really abut Russia, and they took that in 2014 without any resistance.
Russia has controlled Crimea for nearly all of the millennium, about 1,000 years.
Because of the water.
It's always been
because they controlled the
are
port.
the big dog in the area, and they insisted. And even though it was officially under Ukraine, let's be serious, it was a Russian seaport.
Well, that's why Trump put an end to the Panama Canal crap too, right? Because we did turn it over under Jimmy Carter, but the understanding was they were going to run it right. In America, when we handed it over with special treatment for America, by the way. And then they were allowing China to come in and all these Chinese companies to run both ends of the canal and make all these decisions, and then started to, degrade America's preferential treatment. And that's where Trump said, wait a minute, you're in violation of the terms of the pact that when we handed it back to you. So we'll take it back. We're going to repossess the canal. All right. So yes, the Air Force and now Space Force are very important in the modern world in today. But let's not forget, when it gets down to planet Earth, the security of the seas is very important, right? The maritime law and who controls. I mean, that's what kept Britain as a superpower on the planet for all those years, is the Navy. And we came out of World War II with superior naval and aviation militaries. We were way behind Europe when it came to aviation at the beginning of the war, by the way. All right. And within 5 years, we turned all that around. But the same thing with the Navy. So yes, Crimea was always controlled by Russia to an extent, even though it technically belonged to Ukraine. But the wall, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if it's going to change anything, but why not? It would be good symbolism, no?
Oh, way beyond it. This is the permanent solution. We're not looking for temporary. See, here's the bottom line. You have on both sides, the left and the right, this idea of, we're going to one day capture Russia. That is so stupid when you think of the history. Anybody, anywhere.
Wait a minute. Who says they're going to catch Russia?
Trying to capture Moscow is a fool's errand.
I mean, who's saying that? I mean, that's way over your skis.
So the bottom line is, let's end it now. We have the right person to end it now. Just think the image this is going to have throughout the world. The big hero in the world is going to be Donald Trump, and the media be damned while they cry about it. People want peace, first and foremost. Peace and prosperity. You deliver both, you're the greatest.
All right. So, because this isn't abstract politics, geopolitics, right? It's about American tax dollars, global stability, preventing escalation that could draw us in further. So, should Ukraine compromise for peace or hold firm on any cost? They're going to have to give up land. No?
Yes.
Ken, yes or no?
Yes, but let's be serious. Here's part that they don't even talk about. The western part of those oblasts, which are the equivalent of states, have some very large cities, Kharkiv in particular, which is the second largest. And effectively, 2 years ago, Putin declared those 4 oblasts to be Russian, which included Kharkiv. Yeah. He's only held Kharkiv for a few weeks. He's not getting Kharkiv or many of the other western area of those oblast cities. So that's what we stand firm on. No. Those cities aren't Russian occupied, and that's a big chunk of their population. They are not going to be Russian, period. Now, may that end up with the less populated central of those oblasts being given to Russia? Probably. And guess what? A lot of those people, if they had a democratic vote, would say, yeah, we'd rather be Russia. That's reality. That's why the war was fought. Because we dared Russia to hit Ukraine with being in the NATO. Huge mistake. Yeah. But that's the war mentality of the State Department. The other fools that make up the world vision, Brussels controls everything, which is never going to happen.
Yeah. All right, Ken, good call. Just, I guess, one more thought on this. We got to watch for these post-meeting statements around 3 o'clock today, right? They could signal momentum or a deadlock. Pivot, I guess, to the questions. Is Trump the peacemaker, or is this all for naught? What's your predictor?
Well, the bottom line is, if he's not the peacemaker, there's nobody else in the world.
Exactly. Agreed. 100%. 100%. I mean, when Hillary Clinton, I bet I agreed that she was probably joking when she made that comment, but she said, hey, if he gets a piece out of this, if he ends this, I'll nominate him.
Joe, no. You didn't hear the whole story on that.
What?
She said, if Russia...
she had a lot of the contingencies.
All of the areas. Russia's never leaving all the areas, so that was a bogus.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll make... That, she didn't mean that at all, because she knew the conditions could never be met.
Well, I think the bigger point on that, Ken, is even somebody like Hillary's understanding Trump has gotten further with the path towards the end of this conflict than anyone else has, and probably can. To your point, if he can't, who the hell can? No one.
She was trying to have a foot on each side. It was a joke. And if you read the thing and anybody goes back to it, oh no, you had to have Russia out of Ukraine. That was my condition. He was just playing games.
100%. All right, Ken, thank you for the call. Final thought?
Nope. Let peace reign. That's all I have to say.
Let peace reign. Love that. All right, Ken, thanks for the call. Always appreciate it. Always a good call. 508-871-7000. You can join the conversation for the remainder of the time that we have here together till 2 o'clock. And then I'll be back tomorrow. But that's happening there. We'll look for the post comments later, right? So post meeting statements, figure around 3 o'clock or so, an hour or so after I get off the air. They'll signal what the next step is or what's going to happen with all that. So we got to take a break in a second, but I do want to talk about this ridiculous situation in Florida where we had an illegal that was able to get a driver's license and then a commercial driver's license from California, kills 3 on the Florida highway. If you haven't seen this video, it's on my Facebook page. But we have to take our third and final break here on the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000. We'll be back in 2 in 10, folks. Stick with us.
Re-elect Kathleen Roy for District E School Committee. Kathleen stands for safe schools and quality education. She's pushing to keep cell phones out of classrooms, bringing back school resource officers for safety, and putting students, teachers, and education first. Kathleen's committed to producing well-rounded students ready for the future.
I'm Kathleen Roy, and I'll fight for our kids' education and safety. Vote for me in District E.
For more information, please visit Kathleen Roy supports WorcesterSchools.com. Vote for Kathleen on Tuesday, September 2nd, paid for by the committee to re-elect Kathleen Roy.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, right here on WCRN. Like all business owners, I'm interested in why people choose to work with Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients. The most common response, Jerry does not try to be all things to all people. Boston Independence Group is specialized, focused solely on retirement planning. My customers enjoy the difference. We do one thing, and we do it exceptionally well. Help other people live better in retirement. That's it. If you're ready to retire or making plans to retire, we can do for you what we've done for hundreds of other retirees throughout New England. Live better in retirement. Just give me a call. I'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com. bostonindependencegroup.com.
We invite you to listen to the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast with Pastor Ray McMahon.
And I also believe the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. I believe that the fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. I believe Paul was right when he told Timothy.
That's Pastor Ray McMahon with the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast right here on this station.
Jesus is Our Shepherd airs every Sunday at noon right here on 830 WCRN.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the fourth and final segment on the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Radio Central AM 830 WCRN. From the center of the dial, the center of information in the center of New England, AM 830 WCRN. You can join the conversation in the time we have left together at 508-871-7000 or text us at 617-297-8388. And don't forget, we do stream to all my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show. That's MANGI. That would be X and Facebook, as well as Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and even over at Rumble. We have a Joe Mangiacotti channel on Rumble. The show is turned into a podcast afterwards, so you can subscribe for it wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You know the drill there. All right, I did want to talk about this, and again, we're watching what goes on in the White House. It'll be interesting, again, post the meeting, probably 3 o'clock, we'll start to see how this went. But we have this situation in Florida, and if you haven't seen it, it's tough to see. The video, or the footage from the dash cam video in the truck that caused the accidents out there. It's on Facebook. I shared it. Remember, it's tough to watch because those killed in the minivan, you see it happen. But Harinder Singh, he's a 28-year-old man, Indian national, who is an illegal immigrant. He executes this illegal U-turn in Florida on the turnpike. And by doing this, he blocked all of the northbound lanes, and he caused this minivan to crash into the tractor-trailer box. And of course, the bottom of the van goes to go under, the top hits resistance and kills the passenger, killing 3 people. I'm not sure, based on the article, either instantly or shortly after that. But this is a hugely preventable tragedy. And we have this situation all the time with this stuff. And I know that there are jamokes who say, well, we got people who rape people here and carjack people here. And you're so not getting the point. If it was not for that, this would not occur. If the laws were followed, this situation would not be happening. But drill down on this a little bit. This was a preventable tragedy. Happened last week, by the way, on the 12th. In Lucy County in Florida. And of course, it's sparking up and outraging the immigration enforcement, road safety, state police policies, and of course, driver's licenses. And we had that debate here in Massachusetts. And even though the people said, no, I don't think we should give illegals driver's license, our state legislature went ahead and did it anyway. And back in that time, Senator Moore used to come on the show Mondays. And or was it once a month? I forget what it was. But the point is, when I found out that the legislature was going to go ahead and do this anyway, my question was, all right, well, obviously the license is going to denote that they're not citizens, that they're visiting illegally. No. I mean, we could have easily printed those licenses vertical or put a green stripe on them or done something like we do with junior licenses. Nope, it's going to look exactly like the driver's license you and I hold. And don't forget, at this time, we also have this registry is going to contact the town clerk and registry to vote. Well, does that mean illegals are going to automatically get registered to vote in the Commonwealth? Senator Moore, no. Well, how's that going to stop it then? Well, it's up to the registry to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, this is the same registry, if you remember that horrific accident in New Hampshire, when that person killed all those bikers, and his license was, 7 or 8 months beyond it was supposed to be pulled, and they didn't get around to it. It was in some box in a storage room on Nashua Street. Anyway, the human cost of this. The victims was a 54-year-old man from Miami. a 37-year-old woman from Pompeo Beach, and a 30-year-old man from Florida City. He was the driver. And as I said, they were pronounced dead at the scene or maybe shortly at Lawnwood Hospital after. Their identities haven't been disclosed, at least before I came on air. They weren't disclosed, but it underscores the devastating impact on families from totally preventable acts. Florida officials are saying this. Now remember, this guy's in Florida, but he came in California and got a license in California. Singh was driving a 2024 International tractor trailer northbound, and he used one of those official use only medium turnarounds, therefore the troopers, highway trucks that service it, tow trucks, things like that. It's not meant for commercial traffic. It's just not meant for people traveling it. You don't use those. They're not set up for that. The vehicles that are set up for that typically have lights, sirens, and they even have protocols on how to use that. How they're supposed to slow down. The lights are supposed to be on. They're supposed to wait for the right. Let's not get sidetracked by that. He used a turnaround that he's not allowed to use. So it's an illegal U-turn and an official use only U-turn spot. Jackknifing the trailer across lanes. I don't know if you know what that means, but now, like a jackknife, when you open it up, the tractor, the motor part of it versus the box part of it have come together at a 45-degree angle or less. And the oncoming Chrysler Town and Country minivan, a 2015 minivan, it just couldn't stop. This guy just is doing an illegal U-turn. No reason in the world this truck should be doing that, and they don't have the ability to stop in time, so it wedged under the trailer. Singh and his two passengers, a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old man, all from California, they were unharmed. Now, Singh entered the U.S. illegally through the Mexican border in 2018. And he was supposed to be deported, but he filed, you got it, an asylum claim, citing fear of returning to India. This allowed him to stay and obtain a commercial driver's license, a CDL, in California, despite his undocumented status. So not only are we issuing the licenses, but to issue a CDL. Now, I have the normal questions I think you would have too. Did he get the CDL under the exact same conditions a citizen does? The same training, the same testing? Does he have the same comprehension of the English language and the laws of the road as anyone else? It's a fair question, is it not? Illegally here. Now, you can argue once he requests asylum, then he's here, not legally as a visa, not legally here as a citizen. But now we know he's here, he's waiting. But normally we used to detain people. This putting people putting them on a probation into the country millions at a time was a Biden thing. When you came illegally and Border Patrol intercepted you, you went to the detention centers, the ones like Barack Obama had built back in his term. Remember that infamous picture behind the chain link that was taken in 2014, and the media tried to tell us that was Trump putting kids in cages in his term? No, that was Obama. Those pictures were from 2014. And the problem with that is, because they opened the border and allowed so many to come in, our laws say that if you're taken into custody by Border Patrol and then you request this, if you don't, they just get you back out. But if you request the asylum hearing, that has to happen in so many days. And we don't have the judges for that. So they started to parole people into the country. And once you're paroled into the country, you get to go wherever you want, usually on the taxpayer's dime, the plane ticket or bus ticket, wherever you want to go. And then you're eligible for the food stamps and housing and all that stuff. And after 120 days, you can apply for a work permit. Now, I don't have a problem with the work permit because I think as we secure the border, The other side of that is we absolutely create some kind of work permit that makes it anyone who has a clean record from where they come, meaning a birth certificate, and we can vet them. We have the cooperation from the government and the law enforcement where they're coming, that they're not a problem. They don't have gang affiliations. They've never been arrested for a crime. They're not habitual drunk drivers, although that's normal in a lot of countries. You get what I'm saying. They come here in a probationary period. We know who you are, as long as you're not expecting anything from our social networks. If you come here back in the day when my grandparents came and there's a sponsor, either you're going to go live with somebody and they're attesting that it's not on the government. We'll feed them, we'll house them until they can buy their, afford their own place. That's got to happen. But this guy, and what is that asylum? What is it that you're afraid of? I would like to see the transcript from that. I'm sure it was probably 8 minutes long. What is your fear from India? India is an ally of the United States. What are you seeking asylum from? I don't know what that argument is. Haven't been able to see it. There's one for you reporters that have these big salaries and endless time to dig into this. What were the claims of this guy's asylum hearing? We know that 99% of the time it's just a procedure. And then we have these NGOs that are actually teaching people on the buzzwords to use in their asylum hearings to try to get the asylum, because over 90% of those hearings result in orders of deportation. This dash cam footage shows Singh calmly watching the crash unfold without any reaction, by the way. He parked the truck and he didn't seem to have any kind of reaction. This case exemplifies failure in enforcement. He crossed illegally, evaded deportation via the asylum claim, and remained in the U.S. for 7 years. Lax policies under Biden administration, and then he ends up with the CDL. Folks, we have to wrap up the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Thank you for joining me today. Back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Stay tuned for great programming here on AM 830 WCRN. All right, guys. Joe out.
Headline news, weather, and local information. 830 WCRN.